because Serie B is it's a wild league and a lot of things go on. So
it's a wild league. Well said. And I'm sure we'll have a lot of. We're gonna laugh a lot about our predictions.
Guaranteed to be wrong. Just
absolutely 100%.
Cittadella are the only team in Veneto for this season because Vicenza failed to get promoted. Venezia went up to Serie A.
I would be happy with Carrarese and Reggiana being last and second to last. We are going to be touching upon each and every one of the teams on the league, so stay with us, interact with us, and together we're going to be speaking Serie B. Roma!
Welcome to episode 22 of Speaking Serie B. Here, I am Jake Jovine of Città Calcio USA. We have, another edition of Speaking Serie B, but this time it's a special edition because both of our teams are playing. Teams are playing this round as Cittadella and Spezia, but this time it is at the Tombolato in Veneto. So to help me preview this special match is Elia from Elia, the Italian guy. I'm sorry, I kind of botched this. Intro because I'm not used to it. I get all hyped up and then sometimes it doesn't fall through. So, but anyway,
it's perfect. It's live. It's live. This is the beauty of being live. Welcome to another episode of Speaking in Serie. It's awesome. Great job, Jake. So indeed. Cittadella Spezia. Cittadella is in great shape, guys. Is one of the teams that, as we talked about it on Monday, have during the program Spazio al Prossimo, of which you've been one of the protagonists. And thank you very much again for your time, Jake. Cittadella is in great shape. Like, they didn't end the season, the year of 2024 in great shape, but they did start the new year with the right foot. So although Spezia is coming from great win away in Carrara, 4-0, 0-4, at the expense of Carrarese, and then we won in La Spezia with Sassuolo Capolista. Now the game in Cittadella is a whole different story, so it's going to be an interesting game.
Yeah, and for Spezia, they will be missing Francesco Pio Esposito due to yellow card accumulation, the top scorer of Spezia with 11 goals. So that's going to be a big loss. We'll talk about that more on that, but. Yeah,
thank you for reminding me from the get-go, man. See, you're a friend. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Well, here's some things positive. Both of our teams, both Cittadella and Spezia, got a huge win. Each got both big wins last weekend. Cittadella beating Cosenza in a relegation 6-pointer, and Spezia, like you said in the beginning, beating Sassuolo, the league leaders, closing the gap to the first and second place. So. Without further ado, we could go right into it as long as you don't have anything else to add.
Yeah, tough. Too bad that Pisa, as we're going to be talking about, they really performed awesomely.
Yeah, and Pisa were playing down to 10 men. I thought for sure, Salernitana might have gotten something. That Pisa were playing down 10 men for a long time. I think.
Yeah, like they got. Yeah, we can check shortly. I'm setting things up as I was sharing the story on our. Instagram profiles. Actually, where can people find our profiles and our content? Let's start with that, Jake, as I'm setting things up here in the background.
Oh, yeah. You could, as always, Città Calcio USA on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and as well as cittacalciousa.com for match previews, articles, all that stuff. But yes, I'm actually have it right here. Pisa got a red card in the 14th minute, and they still ended up with the win, playing down a man for 75 minutes. So pretty.
At the halftime, I checked the results: 0-0, down to one man. I said, "Man, for sure, Salernitana is gonna do us a favor," and they didn't. Not only did they didn't even draw. They actually lost. So congratulations on Pisa, as much as it hurts. But seriously, great job.
Yeah, well, that result actually kind of helps Cittadella because they create a little bit more of a gap between them and the relegation playouts. It's now they have a 5-point cushion between them and 16th place Sampdoria. And, as always, pushing out to 9 points above Cosenza, where Cittadella last beat. That was it was a very important win, very difficult game. We'll talk about it, obviously. But yeah, as we look at the table right now, yeah, Pisa didn't do any favors to you. Still a 5-point gap, but you do close the gap to Sassuolo.
Indeed.
That is now Sassuolo's now lost to both Pisa and Spezia
and Cremonese. So yeah, they win a lot of games. They don't draw much, but they did lost the headers. Is that how you call them? The toe-to-toe.
Yeah.
Head-to-head. Thank you, Jake. Yeah. Please go ahead.
It's very very interesting dynamic there. They have they're well, maybe that's good because they are beating the teams that they are supposed to beat. But now it's the time, let's see if they could get over the hurdle of beating the teams that, maybe are in better shape. But yeah, going down the table.
We were talking, a long time about Cittadella. Maybe this season is going to be, a difficult. It is, realistically still a long season to go. But we were concerned. We started to talk about a possible relegation. And look at this: you are like 3 points away from the 8th place, which is playoffs. This is Serie B, guys.
Don't talk about that because all the attention is now avoiding relegation. There's still long ways to go. Brescia losing to Catanzaro. They're in really bad shape right now. And also they sacked Bisoli, and Rolando Maran is back on the touchline. So that's a classic Cellino move for Brescia.
I was guest this week to Il Salotto del Calcio, La B-Zona, and they were saying that potentially Alvini could be sacked after the game in Genoa with Sampdoria should they not win, and Bisoli could become the next coach of Cosenza. But these are only chat talk, so we'll see.
Wow. All right, well, how about we get into our match day, 22 predictions, like the last predictions?
I believe it was right here. Ready.
Was it
round 23? This is the results of our predictions. We can start with the game that was l'anticipo, Spezia Sassuolo, and the 2-1. I did have faith in my Eagles, and they did pay back. So this is 1 point for me. You, Jake, thought that they were going to draw. And then, actually, normally you do this. You do it much better than I. So please go ahead, read the results.
Oh, yeah, like you said, Spezia getting a huge win over Sassuolo on Friday night. You get 1 point for that. We both get a point for predicting Juve Stabia beating Carrarese. That is now 3 straight losses on the bounce for Carrarese, who sinks to mid-table. But we both get a point for that. But we don't get any points for predicting Cosenza Cittadella. Cittadella getting a road win. That was I can't talk enough about that. That was a huge win. And but we both predicted a draw. That didn't happen. So
we didn't have any faith. I'm sorry. They deserve better.
Well, let's see. Cesena, Bari. Let's see. Cesena actually kind of similar to Pisa. They were playing down a man for a majority of that game, and they ended up scoring a penalty late on to get a point. So that's really you got to say 2 points dropped for Bari there. But we both get a point for predicting that. I get a point. This was probably one of my better predictions of the week.
Seriously.
Because if you remember, I changed it last minute. I was like, well, I think Südtirol is going to pull it off. And wow, 3-0 convincingly. Südtirol, I think, quietly are becoming a really strong contender of getting out of the relegation zone because, since the new year, they drew against Catanzaro. They lost against Sassuolo, but they were winning for some of that game, and they scored 3 goals. That's nothing.
Yeah, they were at a certain point. They were 3-2, and they ended the first half 2-1, if I'm not mistaken. So they were leading.
Like that. Yeah. So they were in that game, and then 3-0 away in Frosinone, and another relegation 6-pointer. That's really. Let's see. Keep your eyes out. Attenzione per il
Südtirol.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So I get a point there. Mantova, Sampdoria dropping more points. They were up 2-0. I get a point for this for Mantova's comeback. And
I was almost right. If the game ended at the first half, I would have won.
Yeah, and Sampdoria is just
What happened?
really like, we keep saying they're going to turn it on at some point, but they're really struggling. I think this might be a worse moment than last year because they haven't won a game since October.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was
Semplice is
around the
yet
time
to.
that was around the time when Gorini was sacked. That was a long, long time ago for Cittadella. They've
Mhm.
had Simplice still looking for his first win on the
It just
sidelines.
leaped away from their hands again. They were leading 2-0, and then Mantova just kept on
They
playing, kept on playing, kept on playing, and they deserved the draw. I mean,
yes,
I saw part of the game, and yeah, they just lost it. You could tell, like in the quicksand, Sampdoria, little by little, was losing momentum, and the players became more and more fearful, and it just leaped away yet again.
I put out a post this past weekend, and I do keep track of the points each team loses from a winning position. So basically, what that means is whenever a team goes in front, like Sampdoria does, if the team they're playing comes back. So in this case, Sampdoria dropped 2 points because they were winning.
Right.
They were winning 2-0, and they ended up tying. So should have been a 3 points, but it was 1 point. So that's 2 point loss. I keep track of this for every team, and Sampdoria are actually the team with the most points dropped from a winning position. They've dropped 21
Wow.
from a winning position. So that kind of shows you how much they're really struggling. They can't seem
There has
to
to be
hold on to the
some
lead.
mental aspect to it. What would you say is the reason? Why does this happen so frequently to Sampdoria?
I don't know because, well, I haven't talked to any Sampdoria fans, journalists. So I mean, I would love to get some more insight on this. But I think the more times this happens, I think this just kind of goes into the players' minds. Once they
Yeah.
take the lead, they're kind of like this mental state, like, oh my God, we've given up the lead so many times, we got to keep care of it, and
Spezia lived through a moment like that, when we lost the Serie A and last season. So we've been experiencing it. It's extremely frustrating because you can see how fearful the players are on the pitch, and it really bad. It's really bad. It's really frustrating. It upsets people.
Yeah, so Sampdoria still in the relegation playouts. Reggiana Palermo. This was a game. I thought Palermo were gonna win, and in Reggio Emilia, Reggiana getting a big win. Both 0 points for that. You get a point for predicting Brescia Catanzaro. This was kind of a crazy game because Brescia took the lead, then Catanzaro came back. Then Brescia tied it in like the 80th minute, and then Catanzaro, with really the last kick of the game, they're scoring off a set piece, which, like we said, costed Bisoli his job with Brescia. And Brescia are another one of those teams, kind of like Sampdoria, where they haven't won since early November. So this is, it's really interesting because I thought for sure this was going to be a draw because these are like the two teams that just love to draw the most.
Right.
And, kind of similar
point,
to the last meeting in Catanzaro, where Catanzaro, they score very late, and it's the same player, Bonini, who scores like in the last minute. It's quite a weird coincidence.
It's Zona Cesarini, that's what we call it. Zona Cesarini are the last minutes of the game. Back to Reggiana Palermo, I just wanted to highlight the fact that Reggiana is a mina vagante. It's one of the most unpredictable teams in the league. And together with Cittadella, is the only team under the 10th place that won 3 out of the most recent 5 games, 1 draw and 1 loss. So Reggiana is in good shape. And let's remember that Reggiana won in Cremona with Cremonese, is sitting at the 10th place together with Mantova in 11th place at 28 points, only 2 points away from Cesena, Palermo, and Bari that are sitting in the first position of the playoffs. It's still very long, but Reggiana is it's unpredictable. It's a team to watch out for.
Yeah, this is kind of the beauty of Serie B. I mean, 1 month ago, Reggiana lost to Cittadella at home, giving them their first win since January at the Tombolato. And, there was, a lot of, Reggiana were kind of near the playouts. There was a lot of discussions about them. And then, they pull some wins together, and look at them. They're only 2 points from the promotion playoffs. So
any team can win or lose against any other, and in a couple of rounds the table is all scrambled again. So 1 minute you're fighting to avoid relegation, 1 minute you're fighting for a playoff spot. It's awesome. Yeah,
this is kind of why I love Serie B, because I don't know if you really get this anywhere else
in Serie A, not for sure.
no, and even in like England in the Championship, like it's a big league. I think the relegation since only it's interesting because only 9th through 15th they don't have anything to play for at the end of the season. Meanwhile, if you finish 8th, you're in the promotion playoffs. If you finish 16th, you're in the relegation playoffs, and if you finish 18th or 20th, obviously you're relegated. So anyway, Pisa, Salernitana, like we said, Pisa were playing down to 10 men for 75 minutes, but they still get the win, scoring in the second half. Both of us get 0 points, as well as predicting Cremonese and Modena. We thought Cremonese were going to get the win, but they drew. This is kind of the problem. Kind of struggling. Cremonese just struggling to find any consistency. We know they have a good squad. We know they have big ambitions, but they're kind of hot and cold. But they're still in 4th place.
And this is the 4th draw for Modena in the 5 most recent games. They draw 2, lost 1, and then draw 2 other. So I'm happy because at least we didn't gain any points on Pisa. Spezia did not gain any points on Pisa. We did gain points on Sassuolo, but we kept at bay, let's say, Cremonese, gaining 2 points on them in 4th position. Thanks to Modena drawing this game. So at least there is that.
Yeah, exactly. So we both get tied 4-4 on this.
And we've improved our average. That's something. So you're still leading by 2 points on our standing after round 23, but we did improve our average, scoring more than 3 points, which I appreciate. So
yeah, well, so I mean, I didn't really get the chance to talk about Cittadella's win.
Please go ahead.
Cosenza, because this was a quite fundamental victory. We have Cittadella. Next 3 games are Spezia at home, Pisa away, and then Catanzaro away. These are 3 teams that are above the relegation zone, and obviously Pisa and Spezia won't be one of those teams that are fighting for automatic promotion. So this is a very difficult stretch, and it was really vital for Cittadella to get not only 3 points before those 3 games, but also against a relegation rival. And, it was kind of an ugly game. Cittadella didn't play as good. And actually, to be honest, they probably played better in the game against Mantova, the last weekend. And that's actually what Del Canto said in the post-game conference, is that he wasn't really happy with the presentation, the performance. He was actually happier with the performance last game against Mantova than the one against Cosenza. But, at the end of the day, they do get 3 points. Castrati made some big saves, and then Maniero had to be subbed in. He made some big saves. And, it was really unfortunate situation for Cosenza because, we have, obviously some friends there, Antonio Palopoli, who I had on the podcast. He's, kind of in a difficult moment for Cosenza. A lot of fans were protesting, the ownership, right. And, they are currently rock bottom on 18 points now, sinking away. And let's see if they could turn around. They have another relegation 6-pointer against Sampdoria on the weekend at the Marassi. So that's going to be a big game. And so let's see if they could pull through.
Indeed. So let's start with our predictions on the upcoming round 24, right here. The first game is Palermo-Pisa.
Ooh, another one.
I was afraid of that. I am emotionally involved. Palermo, I really want Palermo to win, of course. But the question is, I'm not here to share what I would like. I'm here to share predictions, which is not easy to do when you are so emotionally involved. Palermo did lose 2 out of the most recent 5 games. They did win 3 out of these 5, no drawings. They lost in Reggio Emilia with Reggiana. They had to perform accordingly to their ambitions. They are there at the edge in 8th position, 30 points, with Bari and Cesena in the playoff spots, which is the very minimum, I guess, of the goals that the Palermo ownership had for the season. I think they are about to sign, correct? So they keep on investing more and more money, but they just don't seem to find consistency. I don't think Palermo will lose this game, but I don't know if they're going to be able to win it. Although, let's remember that Pisa won even against Sassuolo, as you mentioned in the beginning of these episodes. So it's really difficult to make a prediction, but I got to make up my mind. They are playing in Palermo. Okay, I dare to say 1, and we'll see what happens.
Wow. Bold prediction there. Yeah, this is another big match. If Palermo, this is kind of a good opportunity to kind of, re-kickstart their season. They had been getting some form before that Reggiana match. However, I think Pisa are focused and determined, and they have a lot of good things going for them right now. So I'm going to say a 2 here.
All right. So there is no middle ground as far as predictions for this game. It's either winning or losing for Palermo or Pisa. All right. Next one is Catanzaro-Cesena. Jake.
Tough one. Another tough one to predict because, these are, Catanzaro's, they're quietly sitting 6th because, a lot of, give credit to them. We thought, they were for sure going to be, towards the bottom of Serie B, kind of in a similar situation to what like Salernitana is facing right now, selling a lot of players, losing their coach. We thought this was going to be a bad year for them, but they're sitting 6th. They've only lost 3 games this season, so I really don't see why they should lose again, or they should lose in this game. And Cesena, we know their road struggles. We know they're not very good on the road. Let me pull up the stats right now. Yeah, only 2 wins on the road, 8 points. They did beat Sampdoria in the last game, but I think Catanzaro's got this. They're going to win this, so 1.
It's a 1 for you, Jake, and I must agree with you. They won in Brescia, we said, and they are a solid team. Although last season they've been the surprise after the promotion, now they are experienced, they are a certainty of the league, and they're a solid team. They're a solid team. So I don't have anything to say to what you've already said. I agree with your prediction, so it's a 1 for me as well between Catanzaro and Cesena. Then playing at home, we know the fan base, how heated they are, so they might actually be the 12th player on the pitch. I don't see Cesena coming out of Catanzaro alive, sportively speaking, of course. Sampdoria-Cosenza. This is a really difficult game because I don't know how comfortably Simplici is sitting on the bench of Sampdoria, but for sure Alvini is no longer comfortable.
This is like the El Sacico, whoever loses is for sure getting the sack, getting the boot. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but that's really kind of a metaphor.
Yeah, and interestingly, both of the coaches that are facing each other are ex-Spezia coaches. Like Simplici coach Spezia did not have an intermediate team that he coached before going to Sampdoria, and Alvini went from Spezia after being sacked to Cosenza. So interesting, just fun fact, I guess. Sampdoria Cosenza. Sampdoria has to win; they have to win, but Cosenza can't keep on losing. So I have no idea. Even an X is not going to do any good to any of these teams, to either of these teams. So, of course, the one that wins is going to be able to pull itself out some from a very uncomfortable position. But it's not something like, let's prevent to hurt each other. An X is not going to do any good to anybody. But Cosenza being the situation is in, is going to be like a historic win if they were able to win in Genoa. So I have to go with my 3rd consecutive 1, although I wish the Wolves well. It's a 1 for me.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Cosenza just with a win, if they somehow get a win, whether it's an own goal or free kick, whatever, then they would only be 1 point away from Sampdoria. So I don't think because Cosenza, I think, are just 1 or 2 wins away from really getting back in it, and that's kind of how Serie B works, obviously. But yeah, I agree. Like, I don't think a draw really helps both. I mean, maybe for Cosenza a little more, just because they get a draw on the road. But Sampdoria, like they need a win. Like, they're just desperate for 3 points because they haven't won since October.
Right.
I don't know how many consecutive games it is. I've lost track. It's like over 13 or 14. I'm not sure, but they need to win soon, and I think this is probably their best chance of getting it. So I don't want to agree again with you, but I think Sampdoria are finally gonna get the win. One.
All right. Yeah, I don't think that Cosenza is in the right condition mentally to. I hope I'm wrong. I wish them well, but yeah, if I have to bet on a more certain outcome, I would say one.
Interesting thing about Cosenza, where I've noticed, a lot of over the, past years they've been in Serie B, every time you think they are dead, where they look down and out, they always find a way to get a result,
Never count them out. The wolves never die.
Yeah,
the wolf never dies,
what
as Antonio says.
Yeah, le lupo no more mai. Yeah,
Exactly.
So,
Interesting.
I think, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Cosenza pull this victory out, but yeah, we'll see. But never count out the wolves.
Sampdoria could be the right prey because they're not in any kind of momentum.
But,
so it's
but likewise
to face Sampdoria in Genoa that face Sassuolo in Reggio Emilia. You know what I mean?
But likewise, Sampdoria or Cosenza are probably the perfect prey for Sampdoria as well, because they're struggling. This could be their best chance.
Indeed. Cittadella Spezia, you are up, my friend.
Yeah, I think this is a totally different situation from when we last met in December. Cittadella they were bottom of Serie B, I think, or in the relegation zone at least, and they were coming off just really poor sets of form. They had only won like 3 games since that time, and 5-0 loss. I think there's surely, I don't know if that'll happen again. Obviously, like we said in the beginning, Spezia missing Pio Esposito due to yellow card accumulation. You also said that there's also another player that could be missing.
Yeah, we're missing Soleri as well, which is another striker. So we only have available Colak, Di Serio, and Falcinelli. Falcinelli only scored once in more than a year that he's with us. He arrived last season around December, if I'm not mistaken. Colak scored only once, the third goal in Castellammare di Stabia, and Di Serio was one of the protagonists. So was Falcinelli, although he didn't score. He helped the team a lot last season, but he was one of the protagonists, even with a few goals of the last season that helped us avoid relegation. I think he scored only one, maybe twice. Once for sure in Brescia, when we ended up drawing 1-1, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't know. He hasn't been very prolific, Giuseppe Di Serio, this season yet. The most prolific strikers have been until now, of course, Francesco Pio Esposito and Soleri, who scored also on a, how do you call the rovesciata, the back kick?
Bicycle, yeah.
Bicycle kick. But we have Kuda, that has been playing awesomely in Carrara with Carrarese, and is an offensive striker, like a, how would you call it? Trequartista, the guy. Yeah, very quick, He normally plays between the lines, between the midfield and the offensive line, but he can be used, let's say, as a striker as well. We have Candelari, who's a young striker, an offensive midfielder, let's say, just like Kuda. And we have some good midfielders like Salvatore Esposito that could score from penalty kicks, And we had Vignali that, can play in different areas, but proved himself with Sassuolo to love to be in the middle of the pitch, next to Salvatore Esposito. Please.
Yeah, well, like I said, another fact that I, kind of discovered right before the Monday's live with Spazio Prossimo was, Cittadella has not kept a clean sheet against Spezia in the last 10 meetings, dating all the
you
way
told
back
us
to
that,
2017. And if you remember last season at the Tombolato, this was kind of a crazy game. It was a 4-1 win for Cittadella in December.
Yeah.
That was just a kind of a chaotic scoring fest. Another interesting thing about this game is, so they are playing Saturday, 3 p.m. European time at the Tombolato. The night before that, Pisa will be playing. So these players for Spezia, they will know the results of the Pisa game. And I don't know if that'll make more pressure on them to get the result.
Potentially, depending.
Pisa does. Like, if they lose, then this is a chance for Spezia to close the gap, and if Pisa win,
I don't know. I mean, for sure, it will have a play. Sorry if I interrupted you. Like, it will put pressure. It will put pressure on the players. But I don't know if the players are going to say, well, Pisa lost, so now is this occasion. It's our occasion, and they're gonna feel pressured. Or if Pisa loses, they're gonna say, now this is our occasion. You know what I mean? Either way, it could really just put pressure on the players either way. But again, I'm sure, as I said on Monday, that we're not going to be facing the same Cittadella that we faced in Alberto Pico. So I'm not fearful of the game, but I know that it's an important game, and we should not be, the Spezia should be taking Cittadella seriously, although they're not in the best position of the table. But you are an healthy team right now, so it's going to be a nice game, an interesting game for sure.
I mean, I don't know, because there are still some injuries in defense that
tell us about it.
Kind of doubtful, like Nicola Pavan, Matteo Angeli, Stefano Negro. So there's still some defenders could be maybe seen. I don't know if Cittadella signs a new player like right now or the next day. I don't know if he'll.
You sent me a picture that saying we have Capradossi, meaning is he healthy? Can he play?
Yes. Capradossi played for the entirety of the Cosenza match, so I think he should be playing, just given how limited Cittadella are in the back line. But saying that, okay, so here's my prediction. So yes, I know since that game, the 5-0 in La Spezia, Cittadella has really kind of turned it around. They've really kind of had a little bit of a revival. The season is still very long, and this is definitely entering a difficult stretch, a difficult next 3 weeks for Cittadella with Spezia, Pisa, and Catanzaro. So I think this game is going to be definitely closer than the one in La Spezia. I think Cittadella will, fight more. It's going to be interesting to see what Spezia does without their leading goal scorer, Pio Esposito, and, as well as your... as another injury. Soleri. So it's going to be interesting, but I think Spezia are just going to edge it out slightly, so I'm going to give them a 2. It'll be close, but I think Spezia in the end will win.
All right. Dang!
Wow.
I did not see that coming. Yeah, no, I had the bell. I wanted to use it every now and then. My father broke it during the most recent live, so I fixed it. Anyhow, if you were asking me, after drawing with Mantova, losing in Bari, and then drawing again with Juve Stabia, Spezia was struggling, Cittadella Diaz healthy, meaning not for the players, but healthy, as far as mindset, as far as good results, as far as momentum, I would have been happy to come back with an X. But in light of... the win in Carrara, which is a completely, a standalone game, but the way we performed and won in Spezia against Sassuolo, we didn't just, face a stronger team on paper, and we tried to hold them back without letting them express their kind of ideas. We really played openly, and we deserved the win. We didn't dominate, but we put up a solid performance. So if Spezia were to play in Cittadella, also in light of the fact that you mentioned earlier that we know the result of the Pisa, so they might not be able to do it because they might start to feel some pressure. But if Spezia were to perform as they performed with Sassuolo, non c'è trippa per gatti. Like, it's going to be very difficult for any team to stand against them. Although we are missing some players. But the missing players has not been has been very well managed by our coach. Even in Carrara, we were missing some key players. We did feel the absence of Salvatore Esposito during the game at home with Mantova, with Juve Stabia, because in the last 30 minutes, we were just playing chaotically and we didn't have the leadership in the midfield that Salvatore Esposito offers. But if Spezia comes up the way we play with Sassuolo, it's going to be difficult for anybody. So I have to have faith in my team, and I'm going to say 2 between Spezia and Cittadella as well.
We've agreed 3 times in a row.
We'll see. Just because this was the derby of speaking Serie B, so I wanted to add something to it.
Exactly.
Next game is Sassuolo-Juve Stabia. Sassuolo plays at home. Juve Stabia is another one of these newly promoted teams that's very solidly performing for this season. But again, Sassuolo, after losing away in Spezia, has to prove that he's still the rullo compressore. How do you call the rullo compressore, Jake?
I don't know. Like
that machine that puts down the asphalt and lays it down. How do you call that machine?
Construction worker, I think, or I don't know.
Anyhow, they're devastating and dominating, which is yet to be proven since they lost with Pisa and Cremonese and now with Spezia. But I'm going to give them... Man, I've only been predicting once. No, I have a 2 with Spezia. So I wish they're going to draw, but I think it's going to be a 1 between Sassuolo and Juve Stabia. So it's a 1 for me on this one.
I'm going to surprise a little bit. I'm going to say an X, just because, I don't know, like Juve Stabia, they did draw away against Spezia. They've already beaten Pisa, which came all the way back in September, albeit with, they were playing in Castelmar di Stabia. And they did draw against Sassuolo in the reverse fixture back in October. So, yeah, why not? I'm going to predict
Absolutely. I hope you're right, because this... despite of what Pisa is going to do, we will be reopening at least the 2 first spots. Like, it doesn't really matter if Sassuolo wins or Pisa wins, because the first 2 teams are going to be promoted. But at that point, if both of the teams are losing some points, then Spezia can at least keep on hoping to be to push away for the second place, one of the 2. We're not only after Pisa, but we can start to be after one of the 2, regardless of which one is going to be. So I hope you're right, and it will do good to the rest of the championship as far as opening it up, keeping it open. Modena, Mantova, you're up.
I'm going to say another X. I don't know why, but like you said, Modena loves a draw. Mantova... Man, they're kind of locked in mid-table. I don't know how Mantova, not sure how high they're going to be going. Maybe if they get some results together, maybe they could fight for playoffs. But, I don't see them going down towards the relegation. So I think this is going to be an X. I don't know.
Fair enough. Fair process, fair, mental process. I don't disagree. I just think that Modena has been drawing a lot of games. They draw 4 games out of the 5 and lost 1. And this is a good occasion. Mantova is newly promoted. It's a good, solid team. They, draw in with Genoa. They were losing 2-0 and they came back. So healthy team, nothing to say. But they are newly promoted. Modena knows the championship and all. They play at home. So although I am kind of sorry that I'm predicting yet another 1, but I'm going to say 1 on this one. So victory to Modena.
All right.
Then the next game is Carrarese-Brescia. Carrarese is really going down. In Italian, we say giù per I coppi, where you're sleeping down a roof and all the shingles are laying under your feet. Now you're trying to move, but you can't just climb back up. So they are struggling. Carrarese now is at the third, just concluded, the 3rd consecutive loss. After proving themselves to be in a good shape, they are sitting in 13th position, 27 points, together with Modena and Cittadella. And now they're going to be facing at home Brescia, that comes from a loss after drawing a bunch of games. You've been always talking about, if I'm not mistaken, about the input, the electrocution that a team has when a new coach comes in. Am I mistaken?
Yes, yes.
That might have a play. I've been listening. I've been learning from you, Jake. I'm listening. So I don't think Brescia is going to lose in Carrara, although it's a very difficult stadium, a very difficult pitch to play in. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say X, and we'll see what happens. So Carrarese Brescia X.
Yeah, I was kind of saying the same thing. I'm also going to put an X just because Carrarese is much better at home. They've won 21 out of their 27 points at home. Yes, they did get crushed by Spezia last time out, but I think playing at home, it's a little better. Yes, they are. They've lost 3 straight on the bounce. They kind of have to be careful because if they lose this game, then Brescia goes above them, and regardless, depending on what Cittadella does, Carrarese,
it's a slippery slope
from 8th place to now all of a sudden in a relegation fight, right, where we thought Carrarese might have been a surprise package. But yeah, so this is, I think, Carrarese has to be careful. Brescia, I don't know what's going to happen to them now with Maran back on the touchline, so I'm going to say draw.
All right, yeah, Roth agreed, and we'll see what happens. Next game is a difficult one to predict, I would say. Südtirol Reggiana. You're up.
Yeah, I'm gonna predict a 1 because I think Südtirol is playing much better recently. Like I said earlier, they coming off that big win against Frosinone. Also Reggiana, it's another team that's in pretty good form. If they had not lost against Salernitana due to the penalty, the red card, whatever, they would have been, that would have been 5 games unbeaten. So yeah, I think Südtirol, given they're at home, I think they'll continue to ride off that momentum, and I'm going to predict them to score or to win.
Legit. So if Reggiana didn't just win against Palermo, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
They did win at home 2-1 in Palermo. They won with Cremonese in Cremona a few rounds back, and that really impressed me. They are sitting in 10th place, only 2 points away from Cesena, Palermo, and Bari for the playoff spots. I could agree with you and say that Südtirol is going to win this one. But I think that Reggiana's players now are feeling confident, are feeling strong. They can, start to taste something better than just a comfortable avoidance of the relegation. So I don't see them losing in Bolzano, and I'm going to predict my first X of this round. So it's an X for me. Wow. Actually, it's not my first X, it's my second X, is it? Yeah, second X right after Carrarese Brescia. So Südtirol Reggiana, it's an X for me.
All right.
Which leads us to the next prediction. Salernitana Cremonese. Man, Salernitana is really struggling and disappointing because I'm sorry for them, but the fact that they weren't able even to draw in Pisa up 1 man, it was really a disappointment. Like, I was really hoping in something better for them and for us. Go ahead. I see you want to say something. Go ahead.
They also had chances. I watched the highlights. They had some chances to score, but yeah, it's that was a really big opportunity missed for them to at least not get a point, which would have been a good point.
Away with Pisa would have been awesome. Exactly.
Away too. Yeah. So, but yeah, they're currently still in the relegation spots and facing a Cremonese team where we said are up and down. We still trying to find that consistency.
Yeah, so Salernitana Cremonese, then Salernitana 18th place, 21 points, together with Frosinone, 4 losses in the 5 most recent games, while Cremonese is the 4th team on the standings, trying to catch up on Spezia. I don't see Cremonese losing this one, but they are playing in Salerno. How is Salerno performing at home, Jake? What are their stats?
They won the last game. They are, 4 of their 5 wins of the season came at home, but it wasn't, haven't won a lot of games. So
it's not very convincing either way.
they're
I want
better
them
at
to do
home,
well.
but not as good.
I want them to do well also because I want Daniele Verde to score so that they can keep him. Otherwise, they're going to send him back. You know what I mean? So it's an X for me on this one. I just hope that Salernitana is not going to lose and that they can avoid the climb up of Cremonese. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll put a 2 here. I'm confident in Cremonese, even though they've kind of shown they're vulnerable at some times. But I think going to Salerno in a place where the fans aren't too happy. I don't know. I know Salernitana have been playing better, and they've got some signings that they've done in the transfer market. They've really reshaped their team. So I could see Salernitana winning, but I think I'm gonna narrowly put it to Cremonese, probably like a 1-0 win.
Got it. Which leads us to our last prediction of this episode for the game between Bari and Frosinone.
Yeah, this is Frosinone. Frosinone, that was a really big shock, or just a really damaging defeat against Südtirol at home against a relegation rival. That was quite a disappointing performance for them, and just disappointing results in terms of the fan perspective. But Bari still kind of like Catanzaro, kind of quietly in 7th place. I don't think it's another team where we thought kind of unpredictable at the start of the year. They've kind of gotten into it, but they're off of 3 straight draws, Bari. Let's see. Their last home one did come against Spezia, which was only 2 home games ago.
At home, in Bari, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm going to say a draw for this just because I don't really see anything happen. I mean, this could really go either way, but I'm going to play it safe and say a draw.
All right. Yeah, Bari has been, together with Catanzaro with 14, is one of the teams that draw the most games. Catanzaro draw 14, Bari 12, Mantova 10, Modena 12, Brescia and Sampdoria 10, and Cosenza 10. So there has been a lot of drawings this season so far. But for some reason, Frosinone is really, really struggling. Like 2 defeats in the last 5 games, 2 draws and only 1 win. And it was the most, the furthest out. It seemed like Frosinone was gaining some momentum and getting out of the relegation area, but then they dropped back down. As soon as they thought they were out, they got pulled back in, as Al Pacino says in The Godfather. So I think that Bari is going to comfortably winning this one. So it's a 1 for me. Bari Frosinone 1. So these are our predictions for round 24 of the Serie B league. And if you want to find out how well we've done, we do invite you to tune in next Wednesday at 7 p.m. CET, and we will be speaking Serie B. Jake, would you like to add anything else?
Yes. Well, as always, you can find us Cittacalcio USA, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and cittacalciousa.com for information, news, articles, all that stuff about AS Cittadella. I wish you luck for this week.
To you as well, Jake. To you as well.
Hopefully this is going to be a good game. Hopefully it won't be as bad as the last time it happened in La Spezia. But let's hope for a good game, and we'll discuss this next week.
All right.